Hello everyone and welcome to the LSI F1.5 EU Championship. We're here today for the final round of the season, round 12. It's going to be a good one. The British Grand Prix. Currently we have Verf on pole position, and that is the man on your screen right now, a 26.831, a 0.852 for Jericho Willis directly behind. I do apologise for the issues that we're encountering. This is not lag, it is just game stuttering. So I'm going to try and fix that now quickly, and we'll be right back. We're back, and hopefully everything's good. In the meantime, Verf has gone and set a lap time 3 or 4 tenths quicker than their previous, a 0.505, a brilliant improvement. 7 minutes on the clock, a lot to go through in this session. Currently 2 cars only in the 26s, as Scarlos does actually make that 3 cars of a 0.9 in the end. We've got a few cars on laps and a few cars on out laps, so we'll see what they can do. Of course, Tom, Rob, Zingy and Peanuts will all be setting all starting at the back, so they need to make sure they disqualify themselves if they have set laps or just not set laps at all. And other than that, we will be looking through the order, of course, for the current tier drivers. Verf, reserve driver, but competing pretty regularly, I will be honest with you, so they've done a brilliant job. Then we've got Zara also reserving today, and that is all the reserve drivers you can look at. They are current tier drivers, except from, of course, Singy, Peanuts are all higher tier drivers. Jericho Willis, the championship contender. Yes, this championship was decided a few races ago, both constructors and drivers. Teams and drivers, I should say, but they're still here for the final race, looking to try and get one more good result in this season, driving the Williams car coming through turn 5, and they'll go over the sector line as they get to the end of the first straight, the Wellington straight, and that's going to be a 0.036 improvement on their current lap time, so not much, but they've still got 2/3 of a lap to go to try and get some more lap time in. We do have confirmation that it could possibly rain towards the end of this race, but it is unlikely. It's not impossible though, so we will be looking out for that. It was about a 50% chance of rain yesterday for Silverstone, and it did rain in the end, whereas this time it is also a 50% chance of raining, but it is at the end of the session, so we'll see. That's right at the race session, sorry, so the end of the Grand Prix, not the qualifying session. Jericho Willis comes through the final sector now, and we'll see what they can do. Through Stoke Corner. Looking pretty tidy, and they've got one more chicane to get the job done. Out the final few corners they will go, open up the steering on the traction, use the rest of the ERS that they can, and that is going to be, in the end, just under half a tenth improvement. They defend themselves from Scarlos in P3, but no more. They're going to need to find a little bit more if they do want to compete for that pole position. Now, I will quickly apologise to everyone watching. Of course, it is very frustrating to see the stuttering that we have on our screens right now, as Zanog does just go off the circuit a little bit, so they've got to be careful that they don't do that. Again, as they've only got a few more minutes left in this session, of course. As I was saying, the stuttering is unfortunately something that we can't really look at, so we're going to have to try and I do apologise. We're going to have to try and be patient with it, because there is nothing that we can do. Zanor on his way to a penalty at the moment, as they are looking to try and get back to the pit lane as quick as they can. Does mean that they're trying to cut all the corners during qualifying. That is unfortunately going to be a 5-second time penalty. He didn't manage to keep it in a straight line, as they made a mistake, I think, on their lap. They've actually got damage on that car before they started their lap, so I don't know why they carried on the exit of the pit lane, but they did so. They will now continue, and we'll see them later on in the session. That is that done for them now. Tom Robb needs to make sure that they disqualify themselves, because they're up in P4 at the moment. Scarlett is P3, and that is Barry Kruger in P4 for the current tier drivers. Tom Robb will get that sorted at some point soon. An outlap for P3 with Scarlett looking to try and get ahead of Jericho Willis. Can they find a bit more time? They're going to need just about half a second if they want to try and catch up to Verf and compete for that pole position, but Verf will get another lap in this session to give it a good old shot. Terence joins us late on. They will get a setup on that car and they will be able to have a look at setting a lap, but it's going to be difficult to get one lap in. They are on their way out of the pit lane and they will get the job done. So a brilliant time moment right there from the driver from Hong Kong, as that is Scarlos starting their lap. Tom Robb does disqualify and will be starting at the back. Where will they start according to Zingy? Dead last, or will it be P12? It will be P12 and Zingy will be starting P13 as it currently stands. Scarlos will be the first one to complete what is likely to be their final lap of the session. Looking to try and have a good race result today. Looked very quick in the last race, just didn't quite get the best fortune, unfortunately. So they want to try and, bring that back for this final opportunity, this final showing. We had Silverstone as a season finale a while back where Pursoon won 2 consecutive races, and that was their first and second ever race in the LSI. That was one hell of a race. I think it was Cohen fighting for the championship with, that would have been, I can't quite remember who would have won the actual championship. If it was, maybe this is Vale who won at the time. That would have been 21, so that's actually not correct, but it's F1.22. Regardless, Scarlett is going to come through the final few corners, up through Stowe corner now. Sixth gear, back on the throttle, getting as close as they can to track limits. They've actually backed off, and that is going to be the lap done. That is Scarlett's qualifying finished. They will not be able to go again. We have the Racing Bulls on outlaps at the moment. Zora is on their final time lap. We've got Fireball Fury who actually go before them, so we'll hop over to the Brit in the Mercedes car going purple. It says in that middle sector 1 second up. That would put them to a 0.7 on the 29s. They still need to try and find a bit more in the next 2 sectors if they do want to actually get themselves a bit further up the order, as currently Zanor is more than 1 second away from the Mercedes as they go through Copse corner, and they're going to come into Maggots and Beckett's, and then we will get that sector line on the Exeter Chapel. That is peanuts done for the session. Terence has just got to try and set a lap. Fireball across, it's going to be a 6/10 improvement. They do lose 4/10 from earlier on in the lap, but they've got one more opportunity to get that time back. Then we will head over to Zora to see what they can do. Will Fireball Fury be able to get themselves up a few more positions, or will it stay P9 for the Mercedes car across the line? And it is going to be a P... it's still going to be P9, but a brilliant effort. Zora comes into the final chicane. They keep the lap valid. They keep the lap clean. Will it be an improvement, and how much by? If so, currently P6, and they're going to change that to a P4. As of now, that is a brilliant effort. 7/10 improvement, a 27.1, just a little bit away from the Haas in P3, but that is a phenomenal lap. We have got now the Racing Bulls that will be trying to set laps. Terence does not get a valid lap in the end, and we'll head over. I don't know if that's going to be, it will be Brothers Court who currently is exiting Chapel. They're 2/10 up on their current time, looking to get ahead of Barry. They need to find a little bit more if they want to get ahead of Zora, who's done that brilliant lap right there in the session. Through Stowe corner, looks nice and tidy from the third angle view, and into the final chicane they will go, as you've seen many cars out of club and onto the Hamilton straight. DRS not available, but the lap time is, and it's gonna stay a P5. That improvement gets them ahead of Barry. A brilliant effort. Jericho Willis will finish the session with a 0.505. No, it's not actually. It's actually provisional pole. Will Verf be able to come back and take what was theirs earlier on, or is it just gonna be not enough? Half a tenth in it. Who's gonna get there? Verf gets it. A brilliant effort by the smallest of margins for pole pole position. Awesome job indeed. That was Rare Winter. P4, Brothers Call to P6 in the end as they get dropped by their teammate Barry, eventually down to P7 for qualifying. A brilliant lap right there by Jericho Willis to compete in the last few moments, but by 0.002 seconds, Verf will take pole position to start up front. A brilliant effort. I can't really find too many words for that, but that is a nice and exciting qualifying to finish off this season, and we head to the final race, the final few laps of the Grand Prix. Not the Grand Prix, the championship. The final Grand Prix. We're just going to wait for all the cars to retire, and we will then get the results on your screen. Verf once again finding themselves up front. Will they be able to try and win their first Grand Prix ever this time around here? Verf takes victory in qualifying. Jericho Willis in P2, Scarlett in P3. That's the rest of the grid. This is the race director. We'll be back for the race start. We'll see you in a bit. The final time. Ready, hold, go! Who's going to get it into turn 1? We are away, and Verf gets a phenomenal start. It's going to be the Haas in P2 immediately. Jericho Willis not able to get there off the start. Then we've got Zora, Rare Winter, very close. Rare Winter to the inside line, the first car to be side by side. They slotted behind. It's not going to happen. The Ferraris are making ground as Zingy is already up the order massively. Barry to P6 making progress as well. Of Zenor, who holds on, but here comes Zingy as well to try and make a move on Brothers Call. Oh, that's never going to work, surely. 3 wide, and cars are going to be pushed off right there. That was a little bit risky from a few. Zingy to the outside line, and they'll get the traction on their teammate for today's Grand Prix, and they're not going to be able to have a look to the inside line. That is the race start. That is a bit of an issue for Peanuts, it looks like, and Tom Rob. I don't know what happened, but they will be able to get back into this race a little bit later on. If we can see, they don't have damage. No one seems to have damage. It's all good so far. Verf leads the way as they go to the back straight. Scarlos is not going to be in an overtaking position at the moment, but Jericho Willis definitely will be as they brake as late as they possibly can into a high-speed corner. It's not going to work. That's a Ferrari. Big time off the road. It's going to be Zenor who slots in behind Rare Winter and is now going to be side by side with Brothers Call, and the contact was made. They're down to P11. They're still in this race as it was only light, but it was a difficult one for sure. Terrence is close to the back of Fireball Fury. They might try and go for a quick send to the inside line if they can do so. Here it is for the driver from Hong Kong. Will they get there? There's a bit of lag, it seems, unfortunately, so they're going to go through each other. That will be Terrence getting ahead for now. They're going to have to try and unghost, and that will be the Mercedes behind, but DRS will be available and they might try and make a move. No one ahead is going for that move, and neither will Fireball Fury to return ahead of the Aston Martin. That is Verf holding on for now, but DRS will come around again in a few corners time, and it's not going to be easy to defend. We'll see a few cars wanting to go for that move at that point as well. That is the tyre situation. We've got so many on the soft tyre. Rare Winter and Zingy, the only cars on the mediums. It makes sense to me, but they're really looking for this soft tyre. I know that it's not impossible to do a soft tyre start around Silverstone, but I don't know if it's going to be the beneficial one. We'll find out, of course, whether that will be the case or not. It's going to be Scarlett to P1 for the first time in LSI. Verf now taking that P2 spot as Jericho Willis is going to have to wait behind. We've got Zora sitting in P4 doing a phenomenal job, but just as I say it, there's contact. The two North Americans collide. Barry Kruger goes through, and Zingy's going to try and pick up the pieces as the higher tier driver if they can, but they slot in. It's going to be side by side with the McLaren, the Red Bull to the inside. What will Barry be able to do? Is it going to be possible to take that position? No. Here goes Zora, and a brilliant effort. Ferrari down the inside line. That's never going to work. There's contact. Barry will take that position nicely. It's all very, very difficult. Lots of cars trying to throw it through, and that medium tyre is only going to get quicker in this Grand Prix. We've got the two teammates of Racing Bulls switching positions as Brother School tries to make these soft tyres work while he can. Jericho Willis sits in that P3, but they've got to push a little bit more if they want to get that DRS of the cars ahead. A DRS train is very crucial around a circuit like this. It's going to be inside line as we try and get a good camera angle. Zingy goes off the circuit, and surely that's going to be Barry back through. It's not. It is not. Barry's not going to be happy with that one. Zingy does get the job done, but they didn't really make the corner. So I'm sure he's going to have a few questions to ask later on, as that is going to be Jericho Willis not getting DRS. So P3, not for long. It's going to be a P4, as that will be Zora to the inside, and of course Zingy will try and follow through as well, and they will make that move. Jericho Willis tries to slot in. That's maybe not done quite so well, as Barry had to react to that one and has gone a little bit further down the order. They have to try and regroup and get back into this race. They can do so, of course. The top two hold on to each other for now. Zora almost able to get that DRS range, and I think they've just done enough, so they will be okay, and they will bring everyone along with them. They've got Zingy, the higher tier driver, who's looking to try and make some progress through the pack. If they can, they're only going to get quicker. As I said, they're on a very different strategy, so hopefully they can make some moves and have as little impact in this Grand Prix as possible. But Verth and Scarlos actually managed to get a phenomenal straight right there and have broken away from DRS range, so that is going to leave Zora at risk from Zingy, who will be able to make that move quite nicely with the straight line speed advantage when that rear wing does open up. Jericho Willis P5, that is going to be Barry 1.1 seconds away. Brothers Call is going to be willing to try and make a move to try and get a slingshot off the cars ahead. That is going to be incredibly important. That is going to be Scarlos sitting behind Verth, and I don't think there's going to be a switch for position, but there will be Zingy going ahead of Zora, and they will make that progress. We're not going to get the Racing Bull trying to get ahead of the Red Bull. They will stay where they are for now. We're going to get a battle between Zanor and Peanuts, it looked like, as it is going to be Zanor ahead of Peanuts. Fireball Fury just behind them, nice and close. Tom Rob to P10, as they've got a bit of a gap behind, but there's been a few incidents. That is a very, very interesting one right there from the Ferrari. They'll immediately lose 2 positions to the cars behind, and that will be the higher tier driver of Peanuts and the Mercedes going through, but it's going to be side by side as there's contact, it looks like. Surely, I don't quite know what happened there with Peanuts, but they had an issue before they even got close to one another. It's an interesting one for sure, and I do apologise for this. In the meantime, Terrence has been watching behind, but now they're going to try and strike. The inside line is going to become available here for them on Rare Winter. Tyre-wise, it should not be available, but it somehow worked. These tyres are only going to get worse in this Grand Prix, so that could be a pretty useful move for their Grand Prix at this stage of the session. Barry Kruger still not able to make moves, and as I said, DRS is crucial around this circuit, so that is never really going to be so easy to catch back up to. I don't think Barry's going to be happy with that one, but 2.3 seconds, it's only going to get larger in my opinion. And we've got Zanor once again very close to the back of the Mercedes, and they're trying to push with a little bit of damage on their wing. Does actually give you a straight line speed advantage, so they will have an advantage right there. Both cars going off the circuit as they go through Copse Corner. It's going to be side by side, and once again Zanor's had a bit of a situation, it seems like. I don't know what is being attempted here. They've gone off the circuit, and I do apologise for this. I just need to make sure that we know what is happening. So yeah, very frustrating. The top battles, of course, are going on, and I don't think we're getting any position switches, although they are incredibly close to one another. It's the pit lane there for Fireball in P11, and they will try and make that work as Zanor will be released. It's going to be a switch up with Terrence and Rare Winter, and we're going to quickly go to that battle, as actually Rare Winter just must have lost the car there, or something like that. Oh, it's a bit of lag maybe, lobby side unfortunately, and I do apologise for that. In the meantime, Brother School has made that move on Barry, as I expected to be done earlier on. Rare Winter's going to want to try and make that move at some point soon, as their tyres will start to get a little bit better in this Grand Prix, as we have seen Zingy get ahead of Scarlos in P2, and they'll look to try and take the lead of the Grand Prix. That is going to be a safety car on the exit of the pit lane, as that must have been a pretty bad incident. I don't know, that was actually quite possibly a bug there, as they've probably been spawned out to the middle of the circuit after crashing on pit lane exit, I would argue. We'll have to double check on how that one goes, but yeah, that's going to bring out a very unfortunate safety car. It does mean that we're all going to be going in. It does mean that a few cars could start getting drive-through penalties, as it is difficult. This pit lane has a slightly lower speed. You have to try and account for that, but will they do so? It's very close right there, as Barry Kruger and Rare Winter actually switch positions on entry to the pit lane. Everyone is in and going for these different tyres. We've got Zingy going onto the hard tyre. That's going to take them to the end of the Grand Prix. Everyone is going to be going to the hard tyre. I say that, we've got a few going on to the mediums. That's going to be virtually impossible to get to the end, but not impossible. Virtually impossible. It's going to be very tough. The tyres will be screaming at the end of this race, and they do have to be careful with that, of course. Now, as we see the cars are on track now, driving at a slower pace, I'm just going to double check a few things. Lap 7 out of 26, and it's currently the top two on the hard tyre, whereas the mediums are for Scarlos and Zora. Also, Peanuts and Zanor take that call. Everyone else are also on the hards. The only car to have a time penalty is Zanor, a 25-second time penalty, so that will have to be investigated for sure after the race. I do apologise for that. It's a shame to get that in the final Grand Prix of the season, but it happens, and we'll hope to have a good race from now on, of course. Currently, Zingy from last place makes themselves a P2 spot. A brilliant effort. The highest tyre tier driver at the moment in the order. Can they make a move on Verf quickly into the Grand Prix and show that what they had yesterday wasn't just a fluke? And I mean, they've done enough in their time to prove that winning races isn't about luck. So I'm sure they'll be absolutely fine. A very difficult race that was. Intermediate condition tyres, of course, for a long time for this man, and taking them all the way to the end on 63% brake bias, actually, to try and salvage the rear tyres later on into that stint. It was a difficult one for sure, and I don't know how they didn't get a puncture, but they didn't, and they got the job done quite nicely in the end for sure. And now they've got to try and do something a little bit different. They've got to go a long way on this hard tyre. Should be a little bit more straightforward compared to what they had to do yesterday, although it isn't impossible that we could see rain late on into the Grand Prix. That being said, It's unlikely that we will see that. But never say never. Never say never at all. Verf currently holds their original pole position, currently sitting in that P1 spot in the Grand Prix. Zingy sits in P2, then we've got Scarlos, then we've got Zora, and then we've got Jericho Willis, who did start on the front row, but didn't quite have the best of luck with a bit of contact from the driver that is currently in front of them. As they went through, I believe it was the final chicane. So those moves switched just momentarily. I say momentarily, they have switched and they have stayed that way for now. In the meantime, Barry Kruger does get an opportunity to be back in this fight since losing the gap earlier on, which is great to see. Winning the team's championship this season. Alrighty, we should be going racing at the end of this lap, I believe. Even though we've got two cars into the pit lane. It's Zingy and Zanor both making pit stops here. Going on to the medium tyre. And I'm slightly confused at why this is. Zingy's now going to be back at the back of the pack once again. Currently sits in P11. Throwing away a P2 spot on what could be said to be an optimal tyre. That being said, now if you do take away a decent amount of laps, given that we have completed them so far, 26 on the board, and we've done 9, you should be able to make the end of the Grand Prix on a fresh set of mediums at this stage. And to be honest, on a 2-lap hold medium tyre as well, you should be able to do the same thing. It's just going to be slightly more difficult. Alrighty, that's an interesting one. There's contact. Rare Winter and Terrence switching positions with Tom Rob. I don't quite know what happened. Hopefully no one's got damage. As we get the call to go back into the race, we won't actually be able to see what's going on. That is going to be Jericho Willis losing the car. They will stay in this race. A big scare, but they're all good to go. Terrence doesn't have damage. Rare Winter does have damage, unfortunately, and will not be part of this restart. Zanor is not going for it yet. A lot of cars are just bunching up. That is a very aggressive pit stop attempt right there, and it's going to be an interesting one. Verf goes racing once again, as a brilliant reaction right there from Scarlos as they regain the lead on the graphics right there. Now the Sauber has got a lot to do. They won't need to defend into turn 3. At least I don't think they will need to defend into turn 3, but they will have DRS within a lap or so for that Haas car, and they're going to be looking to go very quickly. They're on the grippier tyre. Verf has just got to try and lose a minimal amount of time in this Grand Prix, slot behind Zora and Scarlos, and then just wait in DRS if they can do so. It's not going to be easy. I thought we were going to get a send to the inside line from the Haas, but they don't quite go for it. They back off for now, and they let things be. Going wide to try and get a better exit, they left themselves vulnerable to the McLaren, but the McLaren doesn't go for the opportunity. They will be very close, and they're looking to try and get some sort of move some point soon. Maybe they can go and get a double here on the Hangar Straight. It could be very much possible. as they're incredibly close, going through Magnus and Beckett's. They've got Jericho Willis for company as well, right behind. They'll be watching. There's contact as Zora goes a little bit too hot into the corner, and there you go. Jericho Willis will take that move, but ERS is being used. They're trying to go through side by side, but no, it's not going to happen. Jericho Willis will get the job done. Now on the grippier tyre, however, will Zora transcend it? They're not going to be close enough, and they will have to back off this time around. A brilliant effort. We've got Terrence and Bread is cool, looking to go side by side. Terrence to the inside line. Here goes Zingy. There's contact, unfortunately. Terrence will lose out and will now drop down to P10 behind his teammate. I say that they're side by side into the first corner. There isn't contact on Terrence's car. They'll be good to go to the end of this Grand Prix, but it's going to be frustrating. We're going to get side by side battling as Jericho Willis and Scarlos are going to be side by side, as it's going to be Scarlos disconnecting. I do not believe it. I do not believe it. How the hell does that happen round about now? That is going to be Jericho Willis trying to catch up to DRS range to Verth. It's not going to be so simple. There is no DRS available for them now, and they are fighting with Zora. Zora's trying to get ahead. I think Jericho has to just let this go, and they will do so. Zanor does retire in the pit lane, and that will be the end of their Grand Prix. It's going to be a big loss of traction right there for both the McLaren and the Williams. They almost look as if they were going to go side by side. Zingy is caught up to this pack, and they're on a fresh set of mediums, and they're going to look very quick here. See if they can try and catch up to Verth. They'll get the move done. It looks like even on the exit, as they go down the straight, they get ahead of one car. Are they going to look to the inside of Zora? They'll get the double overtake eventually, and they go through Stowe Corner ahead after being behind on the exit of Chapel. Zora wants to have another go. They want to go side by side. Zingy isn't going to let that happen, and they will now be in P2, and they'll look to try and catch to the Sauber car, who runs in P1 on a very nice tyre that will be very quick later on. Zingy, in the meantime, does get the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, but Zora is looking to go side by side again. They don't really need to, as it is a higher tier driver after all, but they do seem very hungry to have a go, but they do eventually back off. And yeah, very frustrating right here for Scarlos, who's now down to P8. Doesn't seem to be able to rejoin at the moment. We'll have a quick look and see what we can do with that. And we'll be back into the Grand Prix now, and we'll see how it all goes. Zingy almost within DRS range, but not quite able to get there on Verth. It does mean that they're going to bring all the cars behind them with them, and that train is going to be absolutely huge. We're going to get Barry Kruger not going defensive, just letting Tom Robb go through on the inside line. Tom Robb's now going to try and work hard at getting DRS if they can. There's almost contact in the braking zone, it looks like, as they were almost going side by side. They do eventually split, and they will continue on their way. But that is a little bit of work that they have to get done if they do want to be at the front pack, at the front train, to fight for those top spots, of course. Red is cool, 1.1 seconds behind that battle, looking to try and get involved. Rowinter, of course, having their issues under the safety car. Scarlos disconnecting, and it doesn't seem like they've been able to get back in. Once again, very frustrating times for the Haas car, as they had a very tough time in Hungary, and it repeats itself here today. We've got Peanuts and Terrence, the two teammates from F1.5 last season, the champions last season in the Aston Martins, and they now switch positions as they're currently trying to catch up to the racing bull car. Barry does have DRS of Tom Robb, but Tom Robb didn't quite get there and is losing out to the cars ahead, as the DRS trains are absolutely immense, and it is going to be Zingy looking to try and make that move if they can here on Verth. Zora is right behind and ready to go as well. DRS available for the Scotsman. They'll get the move done into Stowe Corner. Zora's going to come along as well. They have the DRS, but they're not going to be able to get there by the time we reach Stowe. no, and they will have to wait behind as there's a bit of a mistake for them as well, and it is going to be Jericho Willis benefiting from that as they catch back up nicely, and they were just earlier on 7 tenths behind. Now they're only 3-4 tenths behind, so they've managed to do quite nicely for themselves there. Zingy now leads the Grand Prix on the freshest medium tyre out of the cars that are in the battles, so very nice stuff indeed, and they should be able to go to the end of the Grand Prix, and they should be quick now. They've got to try and make sure that they use this tyre while they can, and attempt to break away from DRS, but it's not going to be easy as these cars are going to be pushing one another. That is going to be Verf trying to actually catch up to Zingy, but it wasn't really as effective as I expected. Maybe Zingy using a bit of energy to try and counteract any kind of gain that Verf did get, and that will now leave them vulnerable to Zora, who's still got that pretty decent medium tyre. We're watching on board with Jericho Willis as you see the two cars ahead hunting each other down. Everything stays as it is for now. We've got Tom, Rob and Barry continuing to race. 2.5 seconds though. This train is just a little bit too quick. Brad is cool. Continuing as well. Terence is trying to catch up if they can do so. They're on the same tyre here as the car ahead. Peanuts has got a little bit of work to do if they do want to get involved in this as well. They are within DRS range, but they did just extend track limits, so they've got to be careful. Otherwise it won't go their way later on in the Grand Prix. Talking about track limits, time penalty wise, we've got Tom Robb with a 3 second, also Peanuts and Rare Winter with a 3 second. No more for anyone else at this stage. It is quite easy to get time penalties around a circuit like this, as there are various places that you can go over track limits, whether their curbs be flat or a little bit bumpy, still possible to go over them, compared to other circuits kind of like Zandvoort, where the curbs are so chunky that if you do go over them you lose time anyway. DRS available here for Zora, but I don't think we're going to see any battling into turn 6. It wouldn't be wise to do so, although there was a massive grip advantage from that McLaren, and they almost had a look at going for the move late into the corner, which would have been a hell of a surprise there for the green car, as the orange car is once again having a go, this time to the outside line, but no, they're just going to have to sit behind for now and wait. Whoa, that's a big crash as Jericho Willis will end the season early. What a shame for the Williams as safety car will be deployed on the Exeter Chapel, losing the car and hitting the barrier hard. That is absolutely massive. I don't know what to say. What a shame. It's going to be everyone into the pit lane in the later stages of this Grand Prix. Many drivers will have a set of mediums available. Some drivers will try and probably chance it on the softs. What will they go for? I think Zingy's going to go... Oh, he's going to go for the softs. I was going to say, the Scotsman usually does like a soft tyre, a medium tyre, sorry, to push to the end of the Grand Prix. But no, they're looking for the soft. Verf does go medium. We'll see a lot of cars going on mediums, I think, but we will see Tom, Rob and Terence also going for that soft tyre. Could that be the call? I think it might be so. It's not going to be easy regardless. It has its benefits, but it also has its disadvantages. And we're also going to get a ghost car through no fault of anyone in the mix as well, P4 at the moment, so they're going to have to be careful of that one, is Zora. That is a terrible crash. What a shame to end the season in that way. That is going to be one of the strangest penalties that I've ever seen awarded to a ghost car right there. I don't know why they were awarded a 10-second for ignoring yellow flags, because they were ahead. So yeah, it is what it is. We'll see everyone bunch up. We'll see Barry Kruger lead the Grand Prix for the first time on the hard tyre, by the way. They are slightly old. They'll be good to go to the end of the Grand Prix, but they won't be that quick with the grip that they'll have. So we could see maybe them going for a pit stop in a few moments' time. Everyone will be back into this battle. Rare Winter will get another opportunity. And of course, Zingy will be able to get to the end of the Grand Prix. The last few laps will be difficult. Under the safety car conditions, you do lose a little bit of peak performance in the initial phase of the tyre as the wear does go through, but you do wear the tyre less, so it does mean that you can go slightly longer into your stint without needing to worry about grip loss. As such, you'll probably get an extra lap or so, and then regarding puncture range, you'll probably get an extra lap or two. It's going to be Terence leaving the session under the safety car conditions. They won't have any problems, I don't think, regarding getting back in. The car didn't retire itself, which is good news for sure. They will have another opportunity to get back in. So, it's a shame, but they should be okay for now. Terence rejoins, and we'll be back in and good to go. Alrighty. Now, we should go racing at the end of the Grand Prix here, at the end of the lap here. Lap 18 out of 26. I wanted to say, are we seeing rain at this stage? We have two safety cars, which does mean we go a little bit longer, of course. And it does mean that there is more of a chance of getting that wet weather towards the end. But I don't think we will see it. Safety car is in. That is some incredible lag that we've just seen from Terence, who gets to P6. Are they going to try and return their positions? I don't quite know, but they're now in P5. And I don't think they're really wanting to be in this position. That is Zora doing something that I didn't really expect right there. I'm not entirely sure what that was, but yeah, we'll continue and sort this one after the race. It's going to be Barry Kruger who will lead, does contact with Zora. Not Zora and Rowinter, it's actually just a bug with the safety car. Hopefully they can catch back up, but that's very unnecessary as they will be already racing. It is Barry Kruger. A loss of grip right there on the exit, so Zingy's going to have an immediate opportunity as they'll go into turn 3, and I don't think they're going to need a second invitation for that inside line, or will it be the outside there? They go on the brakes, they'll get there just about. Space has had to be left. Verf is on his way as well. If they can do so, that is the move done. Verf will come through and they're going to try and get it. Is DRS available? No, of course it's not, but it will be on the exit and on the inside line. The traction will be there as they'll have the lateral grip as well. A brilliant move right there. Unfortunately, Terence has had more issues. That's going to be Tom getting ahead of the ghost car of Scarlos. Bread is cool is currently sitting in that P6 position, currently on their own effectively, not really doing too much in this Grand Prix. Terence hopefully can get back into this one, but if they can't, then that will be the end of their Grand Prix. Peanut sits in that P9 spot right behind their teammate for today's Grand Prix. That is Roy Winter, right behind Peanuts himself, and they're going to be looking to try and make that move if they can. They'll be able to, of course, get ahead of Terence's AI car very, very shortly, and of course they will be able to get ahead of the higher tier drivers of Zingy, Tom Rob and Peanuts. So they're currently running in P5, I believe that is. Could they get that on track ahead of Peanuts within a few moments time? We'll see. Zingy currently taking the lead of the Grand Prix, and DRS is available for the Sauber car. Barry Kruger not able to hold on with that hard. Tom Rob will catch up very, very shortly. Bread is cool sits in that P5 spot and will be promoted. They're currently in P3 for the current tier drivers. That's a brilliant effort for them right here, and yeah, that's going to be awesome. Terence's AI makes a pit stop and will unfortunately be out of this Grand Prix. It looks like they'll still be able to score points, but they won't be able to fight for anything at this stage. There could be more drama later on in this race. currently looking at a P7 as they would get promoted by 3 positions, of course. So a decent amount of points, but not where they want to be in this race. Zingy leads. Verf not able to hold on to DRS now. It's going to be Tom Robb ahead. That is going to be Terrence out once again. I will try and sort things out, and we'll be back in a minute as these guys are going to be incredibly close, but I don't think we're going to see a contest. Zingy now leads by 1.4 seconds as Verf isn't able to hold on to that soft tyre at this stage. You can see the clouds are coming in a little bit. Would we see some sprinkles of rain on the track? I don't think so, but we'll find out, of course, in time whether that will be the case. Tom Robb trying to catch up on this soft compound tyre. No DRS available for that Sauber, but the grip will come to them in the closing laps of this Grand Prix. 2.6 seconds. Watch how that changes. Barry sits in P4 and they're just trying to hold on ahead of Brothers Cool. Brothers Cool's got pressure from their teammate who's now back into this Grand Prix. They do have a time penalty, but I'm sure they'll be absolutely fine regarding battling their teammate. Whether they'll switch or not, I don't know, but Rare Winter does have the advantage at this stage with that tyre. Tom Robb hasn't been able to catch up as they go down the straight on the car ahead, but they come through the corner sections and they will bring back a little bit of time, a tenth or so, and they'll get the first sector to get some more on that as well. So we'll see what they can do. Rare Winter will also be looking to do exactly the same as Tom Robb at this stage of the Grand Prix. 21 out of 26 coming to the closing stages. That is going to be Zora, unfortunately, having issues after having such a good race so far today. It does seem that they were encountering some lag issues themselves, so we'll have to try and investigate that one later on and see if there is anything that can be done. Tom Robb, P3, still doing their best to catch up to Verf. It's closing a little bit, but as these tyres do get slightly older, it's not really working so well, and I do not know what to say. This is not internet lag. This is not internet lag. This is just game lag that we're seeing on our screens right now, and I do apologize. There are no problems with the stream. I can see the analytics at the moment. This is F1.24 in its current state. 2024, and it's December. We are 6-7 months into this game and we're having these kind of problems. I'm sorry. I do apologize. Zingy starts lap 22 and we are coming to these final laps. Rare Winter is now within DRS range of their teammate. I think they're going to try and possibly work together, of course. Peanuts is a higher tier driver, so theoretically they don't really count position wise, but Peanuts has actually got 3-second time penalty themselves, so there is only a 3-second gap instead of a 6-second gap between Peanuts, or sorry, advantage that Peanuts has over Rare Winter regarding the time penalty situation. So we'll see how that one goes for them, but it doesn't actually make a difference in the end, realistically. Now, would they be able to try and catch up to Barry? I'm not entirely sure, but DRS available for Rare Winter momentarily does help them catch up, but doesn't actually get them in an extra position to make a move. Terrence does rejoin and is back into this Grand Prix, so they're holding on for now. Of course, they didn't have the best of times regarding their AI making pit stops, but they are here, of course, and good to go. looking to score those points. They're ahead of Zora. Zora will be trying to catch on a set of soft tyres if they can do so. No time penalties for either driver, and not really many laps to go either with a 10-second gap. That's going to be tough to bring back. P6 it is for Terence at this stage. They do actually gain despite making that pit stop, as that is going to be the two teammates switching positions, as Red Winter will get ahead of their teammate. Bread is cool. It will be Peanuts catching up as well, but they're looking to try and get a slingshot on Barry, as Barry is going to be good to go to the end of the Grand Prix, as I said earlier on, but they are going to be slow. That soft tyre doesn't have too much longer to go, however. 2.7 seconds, they've got to work hard at this, otherwise it's not going to happen. In the meantime, we see Verf leading for the EU drivers to try and get their first ever Grand Prix victory here in Silverstone, the final race of the season. That would be absolutely awesome if they could do that. They missed out in the last recent races. Not missing out on the action is the two racing bulls as they continue to go side by side. Bread is Cool gets ahead of their teammate on the medium tyre. You can tell that these mediums are getting quicker at this stage of the Grand Prix, and of course Bread is Cool has no time penalties, so 2.6 seconds. They need to try and get that by the time we get to the end of the Grand Prix if they want to make that position on Barry Kruger, but I don't know if that's actually going to be possible. I think they're going to be stuck in this one. I think they're going to be struggling, and I don't think we're going to see them getting ahead. It's going to be side by side through Stowe Corner again. There's a little bit of contact, it looked like, between the two teammates. That's the one thing that you don't want to happen when you're racing, but it happened. Luckily no one is really round, and the car behind, he knows how that feels to make contact with your teammate. We saw that with Terence last season. It's Saudi Arabia, and it caused absolutely catastrophic things for the team, but they still managed to take the victory for the team's championship in the end. This is the closest battle on track at the moment. I update you, Zingy is leading, 3-second advantage over Verf, and then it is a 4.3-second advantage to Verf on Tom Rob, as Tom Rob has a time penalty, of course, but the tyres just aren't quite there in these closing stages. Verf will be catching a little bit to Zingy, I think. Zora gets the fastest lap on this soft tyre. Would they try and catch up to Terence by the time they get to the end of the Grand Prix? I don't think it's going to be possible, but just maybe it could be there. They'll get an extra position on Scarlos, of course, as Scarlos is a disconnected driver and will not have their race result counted. As you can see, they are currently still disconnected, to double check on that front. But we go back to the battle here. 2.2 seconds. Red Winter trying to catch up. These guys need to work together, but they're going to go side by side again. No, they're not. Not this time. Brothers Call does get ahead, and they get a bit of a slingshot. Now they're sub 2 seconds. It's on the edge of that, of course, but this should be beneficial, as Brothers Cool will now have the severe tyre advantage. I don't know if we will see Rare Winter getting back ahead. We shouldn't see Rare Winter getting back ahead, but with DRS, anything can happen, and we could see cars with worse tyres still being in the battle as they brake as late as they possibly can on that very, very dead compounder tyre. 1.7 seconds it is between Brothers Cool and Barry, and there's not much in it. They need to find that extra bit of pace. Barry's trying to hold on here to a P2. This is for position. This is for the podium positions. P2 is on the line as we've got Peanuts and Rare Winter fighting for position. They've both got time penalties. Peanuts to the outside line. They're trying to come through. Can they get the job done? There's a bit of lag involved. There is a bit of lag involved indeed. They're going to demon drag if they're not careful. They're going side by side through Cop's Corner. That's never going to work as Peanuts backs off in the end. I don't quite know what was going on, but they continue DRS will be available for Rare Winter, but they're not going to have the grip as they go through Magnus and Beckett's exiting to Chapel. They don't have the exit. It will be an opportunity here for Brothers Cool to make that possible move on the final lap of the Grand Prix here for Barry. Zingy starts the final lap of the Grand Prix. Verse starts their final lap whilst leading here in Silverstone. Will it be possible for them to convert pole position into that glorious top spot here? That would be perfect to finish off the season. DRS not quite available for Brothers Cool. They've got 2 opportunities to get that DRS. They've got to try and find a little bit more time now if they do want to get an opportunity going onto the Hangar Straight, but the Wellington Straight is off limits for now. They'll have to leave it until the final moments. No puncture will come to Barry, but those tyres are completely finished. They will not be able to push any more than they currently are. That's the inside line as they defend from Peanuts. That is Rare Winter holding on for now. Barry is doing all they can, and 0.2 seconds. I think they might just get this job done. It might be possible. We want to watch on to see who does get it. But we do have to make sure that we get the race winners crossing the line. Zingy is looking to take the win once again here in Silverstone, this time in the EU tier as a higher tier driver. But for the EU drivers, it will be a different and a brand new race winner. Unfortunately for Brothers Cool, they won't quite get there. We're going to see a late opportunity here for Peanuts, but we have to look at the position here. It's going to be Verth who does win his first ever Grand Prix in LSI. An awesome job. It's going to be a P2. It looks like a P2, and Barry Kruger will take that to finish off their season. Brothers Cool P5. Peanuts does get ahead of Rare Winter, but of course they are current tier drivers, so it doesn't make a difference. Terrence in P8 looking to try and bring it home with some decent points to end it all. It is a shame that they had their issues, but they will be securing that position. Zora looking at getting a fastest lap, and of course the disconnected Haas will not be counted towards the race results in class as DSC. Zora comes through the final few corners to finish off this one in the end. But it is a brilliant drive. Verth wins for the first time in LSI. They've waited a long time for that one. Fighting for a victory in Singapore, it didn't happen with a very difficult strategy, but they kept at it, they didn't give up, and they're finally there on the final time of asking, the final opportunity. It's theirs. Zingy wins overall, and we'll get those results. Zingy takes victory, Verth in P2, Tom Robb in P3, then Barry Kruger, Brothers Cool, Peanuts, Rare Winter, Terrence, Zora with the fastest lap, and then Scarlett's disconnecting, DNFing with Jericho Willis-Sonor, and Fireball Fury. This is the race director, just in case we do need it, as it is a very difficult circuit for track limits, etc., etc. Pit stop section, of course, as well. And we will be back for the post-race interviews for the final time here in 2024. We'll see you in a bit.